Good morning, fellas. How you going? How you doing?
Great. Good morning.
Gary, how you doing back there? Looks like we got everybody.
Good, sir.
Sound is good.
Sounds good.
All right. So we're going to get ready to get started here. Um, Anybody have any immediate questions that they want to throw out there? Anything? Okay. We got one straggler coming in right here. Two stragglers. Okay. So I'm going to get us started, just so that way we have maximize our time. So it's good to see you guys again. I know that some of you have, I think some people have left, but no? Okay, good. So we're still kind of winding in there, getting ourselves ready to take everything that we can from the last, really couple of weeks that we have left, and then launching ourselves back into our community and our environments and trying to um, duplicate what we've been building. And so I wanted to talk a little bit today about how to maintain that confidence, how to build it, so that way we're leaving knowing that we have resources available to ourselves that pertain to you. So we definitely want to make sure that you guys are tracking these things and ensuring that you understand why we do what we do, this mental side of it. There are obviously some little tricks along the way that you're more than welcome to have. But this is a bigger concept around confidence and where it comes from, and why you have been learning it, and building it along the way. At least that's the desire that specifically the program has designed for you. One of the things that I always want to make sure that we're tracking is this particular piece. This is in your classroom, definitely, is this mindset approach. And how do we get from a fixed mindset all the way over here to this champion mindset? How do we do this? How do we stay connected to it, really? And so I always love to talk about it and share these particular pieces because it's very important moving from where we are right now to moving back into our own home, quote unquote, environments. So again, the fixed mindset, it's not necessarily bad. Okay. I know some people, when they see these things, they think one is bad and one is less bad. But the fixed mindset for certain circumstances can hold a weight and be helpful for you, especially when we're trying to do some skill acquisition sometimes, some new things. Or we're coming back from injury. Sometimes it's okay to have this mindset for a moment. But at the end of the day, we all need to be moving from that to the champion mindset. And again, these 5 pieces to this mindset are huge and monumental. Now, not every one of us in this room is able to accomplish these things all the time, or all the time with the right level of intensity. But it should definitely be something that you're striving for. If you don't know that this is in the classroom, I would take a picture of this or write it down or go back and get this something. This is the crux of a lot of what I do personally and professionally, but this is also what I know to be the case for the people at your level of expertise. So again, we're just looking to embrace the challenges that you have in front of you over the next really month. How we're going to have some setback. How do we persist in the face of those? We get to also understand that the effort you put in is the key to the mastery of whatever skills that you're trying to improve on. If you're trying to run a faster 40, trying to lift more weight, if you're trying to do a better L drill or jump a little further, a little higher, ultimately your effort, what you put in, truly is the key to the mastery. We've talked about ways to improve your effort or increase your effort without actually adding strain to you through the imagery conversations. Obviously, learning from criticism, huge, and feeling inspired by the success of those whom you are around. Now, that's for the folks here that are at test, and then when you leave and you go back to your respective school spaces, those folks as well, because everybody is looking to make it to the next level. So there's opportunities for us abound. So just kind of keeping that in mind. This is really, really important for us. I also wanted to set us up today with a video of somebody that everybody in this room knows who this is. But I think sometimes hearing the voice behind the accomplishments is really, really important. It's not somebody that plays your sport, and I think that's also helpful. But it is somebody that is in their sport to be considered the greatest of. And so I love talking about goats. And so for us to hear this person's voice, see this small, quick minute clip around, what it's like for him to do what he has done is pretty special. So I'm going to trust that our technology is going to work with this. All right, here we go.
Maybe it's my fault. Maybe I led you to believe it was easy when it wasn't. Maybe I made you think my highlights started at the free throw line and not in the gym. Maybe I made you think that every shot I took was a game winner. That my game was built on flash and not fire. Maybe it's my fault that you didn't see that failure gave me strength, that my pain was my motivation. Maybe I led you to believe that basketball was a God-given gift and not something I worked for every single day of my life. Maybe I destroyed the game. Or maybe you're just making excuses.
Okay, so a motivational conversation from Michael Jordan. I think it's important to hear from people outside of our particular sport, but ultimately in there, he is speaking to the work, right? The effort that was required to receive the results that we saw. And ultimately, we know that there is, a lot of us say this about yourselves. Oh, I'm a hard worker. I'm a hustler. I grind when nobody else is looking. But I really want you to challenge yourselves to see and speak that if that is your truth, you should be able to really accentuate that truth over the next really month, because you are saying that, and you may believe that to be true about you, but there are some unique areas that we have to all look at ourselves and have some level of self-awareness and self-improvement. So if you believe yourself to be a grinder or a hustler or somebody that's like, yo, I outwork my competition and my competitors, then now is the time to truly prove that to yourself, because there is no other time. So this is it. And so I speak with that for you all, because I really want you to understand, like, for those of us who do say that, many of us do, but we don't necessarily act that way. We don't allow our actions truly to speak directly into that. And I know from the stuff that you've all written to me and answering questions and things of the sort that many of you believe yourselves to be that guy. And so, many of these things that we talk about and talk through, if you're not doing them, then I just call you into question. Challenge yourself. Like, am I really who I say I am, or who I really say that I want to be? And so, I think we have an opportunity to do it. You still have plenty of time. essentially before many of you all's pro days based upon last week's and the numbers that we've calculated and came up with. So there's still quite a bit of growth available to you from where you are right now to where you need to be. So just kind of keep that in mind. It's a little motivational piece for you. But I just want to make sure that we're all tracking that. Okay. So um, this is something that I want to make sure that we, learn, and it's a skill. It's something that you all will utilize. When we're talking about maintaining confidence, one of the major areas that confidence comes from is the things that we say to ourselves. It's our self-talk. Um, and so we say about 700 words a minute to ourselves. During competition, it could be up to 1,000, but it's a lot of words that we say to ourselves. And so we have to make sure that the things that we are saying, the things that we're thinking, that the things are accurate, if you will, and that they actually produce P3 thinking. And we've chatted a little bit about that before. And so this is just, I love these acronyms. It helps us see things, starts to put some things into place. In your classroom, there will be an assignment assigned to you around this, where we're really looking at, we know that ineffective thoughts will happen. They'll happen during your pro day. They'll happen at your combine. They'll happen at an interview. The things we think are, many of us don't think, oh, awesome, great. We don't really think that way. Many of us do tend to see the negative in what we're doing and what we say and what's happening around us. And so we have to turn those things around many times. So we have to be aware of those ineffective thoughts. That's the R3 piece. And then interrupt them with something, and then replacing them with those P3 thoughts. And those P3 thoughts, again, were something that's productive, some hint of possibility. Um, and so that's super important. So we want to make sure that the things that we're thinking match these pieces and really help us understand where we're going and what we're trying to accomplish. So this is just a piece for you to see, okay, how am I aware of the things that I'm thinking? Am I open to being aware of the things that I'm thinking? How do I interrupt those things so that I can crush these things? And then what am I going to replace them with? Okay. Possibility, productive, purposeful. So those are the 3 P's: purposeful, possibility, and productive. So we want to make sure that those are the types of thoughts that we have in your classroom. Again, there's a little effective thought worksheet that kind of gives you what those thoughts actually mean and what they're designed for. So just kind of, you're on your own, if you will, to kind of learn a little bit extra, a little bit deeper. And so I really want to spend a little time on this particular slide for you guys today. This really speaks to how we see ourselves. This also speaks directly to P3 thinking. And are we aware of what we see and what we do? So many of us wear certain lenses, especially how we think. That's a lens in which we process information. Many of us see success and failure differently. But this is what somebody who has a growth mindset, this is how they see success, and this is how they see failure. So again, this is one of the things that's really important. It's important for you because you need to understand, how do I change the things that I'm thinking, and how do I shift from a fixed mindset to a growth mindset? So if you already see some of these things, it's like, hey, this is actually how I think about this particular thing called success and failure, then you're on the right road. If you don't, that's okay. We can change those things. We can change how we're thinking, because now you know that how you were originally thinking or what you were processing before may or may not be accurate. So I'm just going to kind of give you an example through this, but also to be thinking about your own successes and your own failures. So many of us who are successful people, they see their success as something that is reliable, that is permanent, it's comprehensive, meaning that I'm successful not only in this one area, but I'm successful in all areas. And this is something that I can maintain over time. This is the consistent greatness that we're talking about. So failure, when a person who has a growth mindset has a failure, which happens to everyone all the time, we see that failure as an unreliable circumstance, meaning that this is not something that is going to be permanent. It is absolutely temporary. It is for a moment in time. It is isolated. It's only in this space or in this area or in this skill or in this technique. And it is something that I can improve upon, meaning we're learning from the failure. We're actually taking the failure in. We're not trying to push it away to the left or to the right. We're actually bringing it head on. And so that way we can actually improve upon it. So you can see here just the way that we think, the way that we see these things can start to have an impact on the confidence that we currently have. Okay. When I was there, many of you we had this conversation around being fast. I just use that because I think it's important. But if we believe ourselves to be fast, like that's a successful aspect or of us, then it's something that we believe that is reliable. We believe that that's something that is permanent. It's not going to go away no matter the surface. If I'm on a fast surface, slow surface, a hard surface, a track surface, a whatever surface, it really doesn't matter because I'm fast, I'm reliably fast. And so I can do it wherever you ask me to do it. And I'm comprehensively fast, meaning that I'm fast in all situations, backpedaling, running forward, cutting, diving, whatever it is that you do, and running away from someone, it doesn't matter. Comprehensively, meaning that in every area, I'm a fast person. And it's something that you can maintain, meaning that you can actually increase and improve and be taught. And it can get better over time. So that's just an example of how this looks, meaning how we see ourselves and recognize that when we see some successes, this is how we see them. What ends up happening for many of us is, let's say we miss a block for an offensive lineman, a tight end, even or a running back, and we miss a block. Then what uh, a person that has a fixed mindset is going to look at that failure as, man, I miss blocks all the time in every situation, no matter if it's blitz pickup, no matter if it was, so you start to say those things. And we then know that that's ineffective thinking. It's actually the fixed mindset is clicking in. And so, in order to make sure that we're seeing our successes and our failures appropriately, this is the terms, the words that we use to make sure that we do this. Anybody have any questions about this? Okay. I know that one of the things specifically for many is wanting to get a little bit faster, a little bit better with our starts with auto coming. Right, we have to be able to see our successes and failures directly right in here. Okay, and this is the way that you're going to do it. And if you can do this in real time, meaning on the field or in a drill, this is very, very helpful. So it's something that needs to be practiced. All right. So the reason that we do this is that we're asking ourselves, how do we compare ourselves to other people? Sometimes when we look at successes and failures, we tend to look at other people. Other people are okay to look at, but ultimately, what we're really trying to do is compare ourselves to ourselves. We're really trying to understand, like, okay, well, where was I? Where am I now? And where do I want to be? And then ultimately, if we get to where we want to be, it'll be in comparison to other people. But oftentimes we make a mistake of trying to compare where we are right now to other people without actually looking at where our personal selves are. Okay. It's easy to do. This is why we're on Instagram. This is why we're on Twitter or wherever we might, gobble up our social media, TikTok. Those are social media around comparison. Every time we scroll, we're comparing, we're looking, we're seeing what other people are doing. It is what it is, but we can leverage this too. So it's not something that we're just stuck with, or this is the only thing that we can do or have to do. Just know that it's out there. It's part of that being able to see our successes and our failures and understanding what lens I'm using to look at that, and then making a determination about it from there. So just something for us to be thinking about. I mean, these are players and people, and these are all leagues and things that people aspire to be. And so, based upon where you are right now, there's opportunities that you can become successful and mitigate the failures that you have, meaning that they'll show up, but they don't have to be there and sustain us for a long period of time. Okay. Okay. So, just to kind of give you a good overview of what this looks like, we've talked a lot about this, but there are certain things that I want to make sure that you guys leave test with, if you will, and for the rest of your life. This works in every area of your life, whether you become a father or a husband or a boyfriend or a player or whatever it is that you become. These things are super important. So we recognize that this is the thought wheel. If you know, this is what happens with the way that we think. So sometimes the things that we think, they drive the consequences that we have, which are our emotions and our reactions. Those emotions and reactions, which ultimately are successes and failures, we then have thoughts about them. So this is why having the right lens is so important. So think about in that blue box, success and failure, you have the right lens. If you have the right lens, then you can have the right thoughts about what's happened to you. If you have the right thoughts, then you can have the right consequences, the right emotions, the right reactions, which will impact your performances. Those performance impacts kind of go right around in this little bit of a circle. Many of you have experienced when you've gotten into a rut, it's hard to get out of it sometimes. Sometimes when you get into a cycle of thinking, it's hard to get out of that cycle of thinking. And so, depending on how you are as a student, you've been down this road before. You've looked at your successes and your failures, and you have thoughts about them, and they're not good thoughts. And then you have bad emotions and bad reactions. And again, you just kind of go right around in the bush, staying right on these things, and it's hard to break ourselves free of this. That's why being aware, right? Being aware of these ineffective thoughts, so that way we can interrupt them, and so ultimately, then we can replace them. Okay. Now, this is where I've shared with you all about imagery. And this is where I've also shared with you about understanding how to leverage your imagery, meaning things that you actually see, touch, and handle. Like some of you have changed your passcode. Some of you put a different screensaver potentially on your phone. Some of you are actually lifting those weights that you're trying to get that many times before you leave the gym. Some of you are actually walking around during those 40 starts or figuring out what the pictures are that look like. And the reason why that's so important is because every time that you do these things in your mind, as far as imagery is concerned, those are successes. You should be seeing yourself do them successfully. And we're trying to build that up. So that way you have the right lens when you start looking at these things. Okay. I'm going to share another video with you guys today just to kind of give you an example of this imagery aspect and why it is important, A, and B, how it is utilized in the moment when we need it the most. And so hopefully you're able to see them and hear them as well. So, but pay attention to what is being said in this particular clip and what ends up happening because of what is actually said. So,
Oi, we ain't done yet!
This mustn't register on an emotional level. First, distract target. Then block his blind jab. Counter with cross to left cheek. Discombobulate. Dazed, he'll attempt wild haymaker. Employ elbow block. And body shot. Block feral left. Weaken right jaw. Now fracture. Break cracked ribs. Traumatize solar plexus. Dislocate jaw entirely. Heel kick to diaphragm. In summary, ears ringing, jaw fractured, 3 ribs cracked, 4 broken, diaphragm hemorrhaging, Physical recovery, 6 weeks. Full psychological recovery, 6 months. Capacity to spit it back of head, neutralized.
Where did that come from?
I'm just saying, I know it's a movie and all. The reality of it is this: he used imagery, right? Everybody tracked that, right? In the beginning, he kind of went through the process of what was getting ready to happen, at least on his behalf. And then he was able to make some adjustments in fight, if you will, while things were actually happening. So the reason I share that little clip with you guys is from Sherlock Holmes. It's a movie. And because that can be how it works for many of us, meaning that we imagine the things that we're going to do, we prepare for them, right? He had to be prepared for all of those things. It wasn't just something I can jump out there and just do on my own. He was prepared to do those things, but he was able to process that image, that talk it out, if you will, in his mind, and then execute it. Obviously, the movies are great because what you think, what you see, what you do, and you execute it perfect. Because it took like 18,000 takes to make it so. So we might not have that luxury or that to be able to do that. But what we do have the luxury of doing is using imagery as an opportunity to train and to get the most out of our training. Okay. Super important because, again, right, the key to this is right here. We know that if we're paying attention, right, this is our successes and our failures. We want to have as many successes, successful thoughts, successful reps as possible. So that way we can have the right thoughts about them. So that way we can get the right consequences. Okay. These are these mental, if you call them cues or edges that you can apply to get the most out of these millimeters and seconds and hundredths of a second, and just enough adrenaline to lift that much more weight for that much more longer, for that more reps. Just a small tweak in how our brains are operating to get the most out of who you are and what you are and what you have. Okay. So this is what we're looking to accomplish. All right. So just a kind of reminder, because I know y'all need some reminders. This is the ineffective thinking. Okay, ineffective thinking, when it's random, it's reactive, it's restrictive. The things that we're thinking are random, they're reactive, and they're restrictive. You can take this into any relationship, to any circumstance. When we have random thoughts, reactive thoughts, or restrictive thoughts, we're not going to get what we need to get out of what we're trying to accomplish. And for you guys to take any random or reactive or restrictive thoughts to the bench, to the 40, to the L, to the cone, to the whatever positionals, it doesn't help us accomplish the things we're looking to accomplish. Again, this is getting away from that fixed mindset and getting more into that growth mindset. So just a reminder, because I know y'all are out there, you might have been like, P3, Rob, look, I don't even know where'd that come from? This is where it came from. It's right here. So if you didn't have that, or you don't have that, now you do. I'm here for you. Okay. It's purposeful, productive, and possibility laced thoughts. Purposeful thoughts tell you what to do. Productive thoughts get you to do it, get you moving. And possibility thoughts are like more mantras, or things like, you could absolutely do this. You've done this before. I'm building confidence. You got this. You the man. You want to be the man. I work hard. I'm a hustler. Whatever those things might be. Those are possibility type thoughts. They're futuristic thoughts to kind of help motivate us. They're more motivating, not necessarily based in fact, but mostly based in motivation. So that's the process. Okay. So in order to make sure that we are seeing success successfully, right way, we have to have this type of effective thinking. If we have effective thinking, then we make sure that the thoughts that we're thinking effectively can replace those ineffective thoughts on the ready. So some of these things you might need to be like asking yourself, well, what is it that I'm going to say to myself? What evidence do I have to prove to myself, i.e., my thoughts and my actions and my words and my deeds that really speak to me outworking somebody, doing it when nobody's looking? I've done this thing this many reps or this many times, or I've done it this many, I've done this. So really being able to truly have some facts, some data on your confidence is a big deal, and you can speak that into existence. Okay. All right. So here's an example of putting this together. Like in an event that occurs, mistakes are made. Maybe the P3 thoughts is due to gritty work. If your heart is pounding, we talked about nervousness is good. So glad my blood is pumping now to get me going, right? It needs to get the blood to all the larger extremities. That's this job. So when stress or anxiety shows up, it needs to start pumping a little bit more so that you can do these types of things. And so these are P3 thoughts that you can use, or this is how that looks or how that works. So we have an event, we have a thought that happens, or a thing that occurs. So we need to make sure that we have the right types of thoughts that go with those events. Okay, everybody tracking in there on your recovery day. Okay. All right. So this is what you all will see in the classroom. It'll be like a little something to fill out. I'm gonna show it to you. So this is that air card. And so, are you aware of the things that are going to impact you? Are you able to find things to interrupt you when those thoughts are happening? And then what are we going to use to replace? Those are those P3 thinking thoughts. Okay, so you'll see this card specifically and a little assignment that goes with this card in the classroom. Everybody tracking? I hope so. Okay. All right. So I'm gonna close a little bit here, but I want to make sure that just as I shift, if you have any questions, comments, things we have. If I'm tracking my calendar, I think I have. I'm gonna go with 2 more times meeting with you guys. I actually think it's only one, but I'll probably do March 9th as well because that will be after um, Otto comes back. So I'll just make sure if we have any concerns, we'll address them. Norfolk State in the room. So okay, everybody's okay. Feeling pretty good. Better. I hope. All right. What's the plan for the rest of the day, fellas? We still got yoga, Pilates, quote unquote. We'll do some imagery maxing out before we leave with the 225. We try to get our number up that we were designing to get. So we need to do that before we leave the gym. I know many of you all just roll out and roll away. But again, you just told me that you grind when nobody else is grinding, and I do what I do. I'm good. So let's do it. And so there's certain things that we need to do. If for my 40-yard dash people who really that number, again, it's either changing your passcode on your phone to that number, or many of you can change your screensaver. So there's different ways to do this. Like you can get an image from Google, right? And it says 4.38. That'd be a sweet 40 time. But whatever your time is, you can find it. and just type in, image, clock, digital clock, four dot, whatever it is, and screenshot it, crop it, cut it, and make it a screensaver. I mean, those are all things. Same thing. You could do that for some of your goals that you've set for yourself that you've written on paper. You can write those out, take a picture of it, and use that as a screensaver. I would do that probably now until your pro day comes. Just kind of give you like, okay, this is where I'm trying to go. This is what I need to do. It's just a reminder. Another one of those things. And so those are just some little techniques and hints to kind of help get you from where you are right now to get you to where you want to be. A lot of opportunity getting ready to happen. So, okay. And I appreciate the folks that have reached out. Look forward to our conversations. And so I just wanted to acknowledge that loud and know who they are. If it's not you, then you didn't do it. So for those of you, the pat on the back, you got the pat on the back. And so we just look forward to kind of keep grinding, keep working, and getting incrementally better as we process and keep moving in the right direction. Okay, and if you have questions, please don't hesitate to send a message.
I got a question.
Give it up.
What's some tips to keep a positive mindset when dealing with injuries and stuff?
Okay. But can I see your face for a second? Sorry. Slide. Ooh. What? Oh, yeah. That's what I thought. I thought that voice. So what do you have something a specific injury that's nagging?
Yeah, my hamstrings have been bugging me for like the past couple of weeks.
Okay. So one of the things, thank you, can sit if you like. It's cool. One of the things I would share with you, right, is you could think about it from that lens that we shared, right? So that's a temporary problem. We know that we have a solution to that temporary problem, and it does require rest, from using those extremities in the way that you want, because it impacts your explosiveness and things of the sort. But there are other little aspects that you can do to still maintain your gains, if you will. So like going through the motions, meaning, the actual physical aspects of the drills that you need to do, your 40 starts, not necessarily obviously pushing off and going full speed, but making sure that your feet are in the right position, going through those hands, trying to stay a little bit low. So obviously you're just doing a lot of low load, but it's not a, you just look at your circumstance and say, pro day is 28 days away, 23 days away. But what do I need to do to rest these hamstrings of mine from now until then, but still get the gains that I'm needing to get while I'm there? So to maintain the positive mindset really is an opportunity to rest. I mean, your body has been beat up for years. So when you start doing things the right way, sometimes we get those like nagging tissue injuries. So take advantage of what you have. I mean, you have massage and you have the yoga and the Pilates to help stretch those hamstrings, kind of get them strong. So there are positives to it to kind of get you healthy. And then obviously making sure that your nutrition, some of those things are actually speaking to those soft tissue injuries. So just making sure that before you go, everything that you need where you are to help heal the things as quickly as you can. And so being honest about, what hurts, what doesn't hurt, but that's some the way that you look at it and see it. It's not a detriment to you. It's actually something that can be used for help because it gives you that you would not normally rest anyway. So it sometimes sits us down in a way that we need to be sat down so that we can actually use some of the mental aspects of imagery and kind of going through these things to help you. So that can keep you, as positive as it can be. All of us are a little banged up. Okay, so hopefully that helps. If you feel like you need to actually like talk through it a little bit on a personal space, then just kind of hit me up and we'll definitely do that. It is depressing, if you will. We want to be 100% healthy to be able to do everything because we're here. We want to take advantage of it.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions? It was a great one. Okay. All right. Everybody else is moving in a good space. Okay. If you want to complain about the guy stinky feet next to you, you can. Okay. All right, fellas. Then I'm going to let you guys get sliding to where you need to get sliding to. I know that you have some work to do. So I'll put what you need in the classroom. So you'll see that assignment show up in a few minutes probably. And that way you'll have what you need, and you can kind of keep moving from there. All right.
Thank you. Thank you.